Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're enjoying your day so far, and as the GA discussion continues to rage, pros have been clashing these last several days of which GAs should be allowed, which GAs shouldn't be allowed. A lot of pros coming out and suggesting, look, they improve the viewing experience, they improve the watching experience for us fans. Is that fully the case? Should we be thankful for GAs, or has it gone too far this time around? Intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new. As always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, this from Cronut CDL Intel, Diamond Con, Subliners Academy right now, currently scrimming with Saints, Spart and Prolute, so that may be what ends up being the Subliners Academy for the CDL 2021, so pretty cool to see. Keep your eyes on that one as things develop going forwards. Thought this was entertaining as well. There was some group DM that Crimsix leaked and then deleted a tweet. What actually goes on in that group DM? Serious note, there's a reason why everything is being extensively tested. Patience, my friends. And this is actually pretty interesting because I've heard that something might be coming over the next couple of weeks, which is going to significantly change up, well, whether GAs are even required, and apparently the CDL and track and the guys are working on something which is significantly going to change how people create their classes and whether GAs are even required anymore. So stay tuned for how that's going to happen. I imagine something in the next couple of weeks might come out before the CDL does launch. But as he says right here, and sniping on Miami across map is like it has time travel, takes like 2 seconds to hit whoever this exactly is. You aren't compensating for the spin drift or the Coriolis effect. Need your spotter to communicate better for you. And as you can see right here, rep chat players only. So I imagine this is the representatives for the GAs. You can see Simp right here, what's his accuracy, Clayster, Silly, Envoy of course, methods. So yeah, I mean that's what's going on right here. 2 clicks right due to Seabreeze, hold on clicks high. Like Crimsix absolutely completely lost the plot on this one. The defense rests. But yeah, supposedly they're preparing all these GAs for something to happen in the coming weeks. But there's been plenty of discussions on GAs outside of just like weaponry and stuff like this. As Bid says, I'm misloading into Cartel Hardpoint, don't miss it, but I'd take it over the current Crossroads. So there's still the question mark there around what's going to go on with the Crossroads map GA, because they weren't scrimming Crossroads for a while, at least some of the pros, but some of the pros seem to have started scrimming it again. I think Dallas Empire haven't scrimmed it for quite a while, but well, it's still in the rule set, right? Who knows exactly what the CDL rule set is going to be when the CDL does launch in, well, I hope there's going to be some sort of mid-season or pre-season event, sorry, in late January. As Crew says, S&D is going to be awful in this game until smokes are either removed or just fixed. The fact that rounds are dictated by who gets lucky by seeing others in a smoke is actually absurd. I do agree with this one. I mean, this is when some of the GAs do come into, well, a beneficial aspect, I believe, from the viewer and the playing side. The fact that the smokes right now in the game are pretty awful. If you guys have played it, like if you're shooting at someone, they just drop a smoke at them, they run away, they somehow get a one-way through it because the smokes are super dodgy. It's not ideal. They're probably more broken, the smokes in this game, than they have been in any other Call of Duty game for a while, and it does make Search and Destroy very difficult to play, and well, also it does affect how powerful the snipers are as well. If you're going to get rid of the smokes and all of a sudden that doesn't, well, it counters sniper rifles as smoke grenade does, so you can't see a lane, but if you get rid of the smokes, and that makes snipers inherently stronger. So there's definitely a balancing act that has to be done right here. And as then Zinc says, just a Krieg player living in an AK world. Actually despise that gun, so burgerish, and also 5k plus damage, and well, it's actually a BS gun. So people still very frustrated with the AK-47, with the maps. The GA discussion continues to rage, and well, as Hooke and Co said the other day, I mean, Hooke, it was on the Eavesdrop podcast, was like, look, it doesn't matter if you GA that gun, you are still getting guns, you're just not good enough, right? Effectively just saying, okay, the GAs are irrelevant, these people are just trying to GA stuff that improve their own teams. And as you can see, a lot of the players that actually deal with these GAs tend to be the assault rifle players, which means that on occasion it can be the ARs that tend to get benefited on this issue. And if you don't decide to GA something as a team, then well, all of a sudden you're getting blacklisted from scrims, baby. Fantastic stuff, as we kind of saw, or threatened at least, with Atlanta FaZe last season when the AUG was coming into the meta. They were scrimming with it for a while, and then a lot of the pro teams decided, look, we just want to get this out of the game, back to the M4 MP5 meta. And well, you know, does that improve the game from a playing experience? Maybe it does. Does it improve it from a watching experience, from a fan experience? Not necessarily, right? I think that some of the things in the game certainly do improve the game from a fan watching perspective, but some of the weapons that are removed for seemingly no reason are that those are some of the questions which is like, okay, should this really be gone? But as Slasher says in a second, this is what we're going to look at. This is a clip I'll finish off the video with from well, Illy throwing with the AK. The Dallas Empire guys don't really seem to care too much about these GAs that well, some of the European challengers are doing, for example, and this is then what happened a couple of days ago. So as MattG says, COD is ruined, can't wait to see how long the list will be. This is when the kind of rumor came out that all the attachments on the sniper rifles were going to be gone. But as Slasher says, look, we haven't even been playing with this. Crimsix was just making this up on stream as we talked about yesterday. But look, the snipers are a problem. Don't compare this to CS, because in CS the AWP costs $4,750, and there's no aim assist in CS and that kind of stuff, and there actually are usable smokes in that game. So certainly the snipers are different in that game, and I think you can make the argument that they are very strong in Black Ops Cold War, and maybe you shouldn't be allowed to run like 2 or 3 on your team on a defense on a certain map, because that could honestly be viable in certain defense setups on certain maps in the game, especially how good they are. But as Paris says, look, how the smoke grenades are so bad that, or at least they're so broken, it therefore means that, okay, we can't really use snipers the way we would like to, because you can't counter them in that sense. And then thermals are also G'd out of the game as well. Maybe that's a good move, maybe that's a bad move, but as Slasher says, both are an issue. Smokes shouldn't be a thing the way they are right now, which in turn makes the OP sniper so goddamn good. I'm sick of seeing the constant negativity around GAs when they have saved multiple titles. Nobody understands how these things work and talk like they're experts. 9 out of 10, the GA helps the game when it comes to playing and watching. So of course, kind of clapping back at some of the fans being frustrated about GAs, saying that look, 9 out of 10 times the GA improves the game from the playing and the watching side. I think you can certainly argue that in some regards they do and have had beneficial impact in the past, as he says, like has saved multiple titles. But well, some of them I think this season you could certainly argue are going too far, like getting rid of the task force barrel, the VDV reinforced barrel, for example. Does that help the viewing experience, or is that just the pros taking things one step too far? Right? There's obviously two sides to the story right here. And look, as Slasher says, I haven't pushed for a GA in such a long time. It's probably the fans' favourite player calling for it, which I thought was pretty entertaining. So just to look at this tweet in a little bit more detail here, 9 out of 10 times the GA helps the game when it comes to playing and watching. So I thought I'd look at the current GAs right now. These are the GAs over in the European region, which are, well, largely being copied, or at least they've taken a lot of this from the professional GAs over the North American side more generally. But I think the European guys are probably a little bit ahead of the curve here, given that they're trying to prep everything for their Challengers Cups coming up. I think the next one is on the 8th, 9th of January 2021. Looking forward to hopefully a better year next year. But as Lucy says, latest EU GA, the AK-47 is gone, the 1911 pistol is gone, score streaks, task force barrel. So we look through this list. The thermals, I think you can argue, okay, thermals are a bit ugly, maybe we don't want them in competitive, but they have been in competitive in the past, so maybe it's not a big deal. But with the smokes being kind of dodgy, maybe maybe thermals will be too strong. I think when the game first came out, people were using thermals on like the Krig and the FAMAS, even the FFAR, and we're using that to great effect, right? So certainly maybe something that we don't want to have. But one sniper only in search and destroy, okay, maybe that does also improve the viewing experience if there was like 4 snipers on a team, given how strong they are on certain maps. And okay, so tac rifles are gone. Do we really want to see M16s one bursting people and AUGs one bursting people? Maybe that's something we don't want to see. So some of these GAs I think you can justify from the playing side and also from the watching side. But when it gets into stuff like, okay, the AK-47, is that going to be gone? You know, 2 smokes only in search and destroy I think is also an arguable one. Then you've got things like perk greed and gearhead. These things don't affect really the viewing experience from my perspective. So a lot of the decisions really are made by the professional players based on what they think will improve the game from the playing side, and some of the time it does improve the game from the viewing side. But that's hardly always the case, right? You've got 3 trophies, you've got no lasers, stuff like this. Like the laser side doesn't really affect the viewing experience at all, and it really does come for me in terms of like when we're banning weapons and stuff. Like getting rid of the 1911 pistol, that doesn't make things better to watch. Things like the smoke grenades, getting rid of smokes in respawns or whatever, I think that certainly can improve the viewing experience, making things a little bit less chaotic to see, and well, making the game probably better to play overall. No smokes in respawns, for example, right here. But things like, okay, the task force barrel is gone, the VDV reinforced is gone, the 1911 pistol is gone, the laser sight is gone, the all these like perk and gearhead bands, as you can see right here. Score streaks being out of the game as well. I mean, this is only in the European amateur side. They are, I believe, still testing it in the pro scene, talking about potentially bringing in the cruise missile and the artillery barrage at certain score streak levels for competitive. So that's something which is still potentially up in the air, and I think score streaks actually do improve the viewing experience and increase the skill gap actually in terms of how good players can be playing with their team to actually get streaks and utilize them in the best way they possibly can. So that's something I would like to see back. But I think that Slasher has a point, but I don't think that 9 out of 10 of the GAs are beneficial for playing and watching. I think that, well, probably the real number is lower than that, but I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts, of course, in the comments section below. And as Method says, look, I for one think we should use Claymores. Okay, Clayster, because Clayster in the past has said a fair while about this, for example. The chaos around GAs is pleasing. When are we going to play the game out of the box like it is intended? Saying, look, we don't even want GAs in the game. We want to be using absolutely everything. And I do certainly agree that, well, of course, the GAs are an interesting discussion because a lot of the things that I've talked about today, which would be GA, the likes of the UAV and the Claymores and stuff like this, I don't actually know if there is a Claymore in this game, but those things are banned out by the rule set anyway, right? So maybe that's what Slasher's getting at. The 9 out of the 10 things that would be GA'd, if there was no official CDL rule set, those are beneficial. I think you can argue that's the case. We don't really want the care packages, we don't want the shotguns in the game, this type of stuff. We don't maybe want the LMGs. We probably, well, should ban those out of the game, and they are banned in the CDL official rule set. And then the GAs are kind of an intermediary between, well, when the rule set is then updated and the pros hope that other things are then GA'd. But well, certainly there's arguments that some of the things that they're GAing are probably going a step too far. So you can see the arguments from both sides. But yeah, intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section. But I just thought I'd mention this as well that I tweeted out a couple of days ago. Came across this gem from UMG on Atlanta 2013. I don't know if you guys remember this, if you're pretty much an OG in the scene. But here on Raid Hardpoint, Clayster whipped out the crossbow tri-bolt and shot over at the white van here and got 2 kills on the TK guys running up driveway. It was a pretty legendary moment really in Call of Duty that this was many months into the title. The Clay and the Complexity guys were pulling this out and, well, getting this strat to work here on Raid Hardpoint to pretty much revolutionize how this map was played for one. And I think the pros just decided, okay, maybe this is too strong. We probably should not allow people to use this. And it kind of got GA'd in effect. But yeah, pretty cool to see. And I was saying here, like, if this was used nowadays, if this was done nowadays, it would just be GA'd before the map had even concluded. So, yeah, pretty entertaining stuff. But obviously this stuff doesn't happen anymore. And even though I was also thinking, like, back in Black Ops 2, people were using the shotguns, right? Like, for a time we were playing hijacked hardpoint. Parasite was using the Remington, like the shotgun at every single map. And this type of stuff just would not fly nowadays. So it's definitely changed quite significantly. But as I say, stay tuned for the coming weeks. There may be something coming to the game which, well, significantly affects whether GAs are even required anymore. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.